and he snatches the ticket. I mean, the sheets of paper out of our ticket guy's hands, and he tells him to get out. And he says, if I ever catch this guy up here again, you will never work in the city of Miami as long as I'm here. So now we're already at attention, but now he's got everybody's attention. I'm talking like everybody's like, wow, what's going on? So he tries to put the video in our big club meeting room, and it doesn't work. So he said, you know what? Forget this. Let's go. So the entire travel squad, which was probably about 60 kids, 60 players, went into his office. Remind you, back then, where they had the big flow model screen, TV, big old wooden TV on the ground or whatever. And we all piled up in his office. He put the video in, turned the lights off. Everybody's quiet. Nobody's saying nothing. I'm a true freshman, so I don't know what's going on. I'm like, wow, man, this is intense. The video comes on. Now, mind you, what they didn't talk about, I don't believe, his two sons were part of directing the video. Jimmy's sons helped orchestrate that video. So you see him at the very beginning of the video, because they went to Florida State, from what I understand. But anyway, man, we're sitting there, and we're looking at this video. Deion Sanders rapping, everybody just singing, rapping, doing their thing, and you could feel the tension in that room. Now, mind you, this is my first time being a part of this, so I don't know what's going on. This is my first ever Thursday night meeting, getting ready for a football game. And, man, the tension was just, you could cut it with a knife. All of a sudden, the TV goes, it blacks off, video stops, and everything's just dark. And Jimmy sat there for about 35, 40 seconds, just like that. Nobody said a word. You couldn't see nothing. All you could do is you could feel that tension. When he turned the light back on, I don't think I had to say anything else. And he got up and walked out. Oh, my God. Dude, man, they almost tore up that office. I'm talking about, boy, them dudes were hot. Had we played Florida State that night, we'd have beat them 60-0. They were lucky that we had that night and Friday, all day Friday and Friday night, to calm down a little bit. Then we played them that Saturday night. Tension was still high, but not as high as it was Thursday night. Unbelievable game. It was my first taste of true Miami Hurricane football, and it was unbelievable. And it set the stage for my next 4 years playing at the University of Miami.
Yeah, I won that game 31-0. Sammy Smith was held to like 6 yards on 10 carries, so I shut him down, and Cleveland Gary scored a touchdown. Yeah, I dominated that game 31-0. Actually, Florida State, I think, was preseason #1 going into that game. Yeah. So
Florida State was ranked preseason #1. That was supposed to be the first team to ever start #1 and end #1. Mm-hmm. And we destroyed it. We completely destroyed it. It's very similar to what happened the other night with Clemson in Ohio State. When Clemson was able to go in, Ohio State was able to go in and take all those clips that Dabo Swinney and all these guys were saying about their team and put that stuff up on the bulletin board. And they probably showed the video in today's time. And, Ohio State went out there with a purpose. And that's what we did. That's what we did back in 1988. Yeah. So it's just a rendition of what happened, over 30 years ago.
Yeah. Florida State was preseason #1. Y'all was preseason #8. Number 8. Yeah. All right. The second game y'all played against Michigan. Y'all won that game 31-30. Y'all was down like 30-14 with like 7 minutes and 16 seconds to go. And y'all, led the comeback. Steve Walsh did his thing. I got an onside kick. Close well to hit the game-winning field goal to win 31-30. Cleveland Gary had a big game. He was a great pass-catching fullback coming out of the backfield. Scored a few long touchdowns. Talk about that game. What it was like to play in Michigan at the Big House.
Well, first of all, it was the quietest 105,000 people I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And it was quiet because we were coming back in that game.
Yeah.
But the one thing that Miami had always been able to do since I had started watching since I started being a part of the program when Bubba went down there, Miami was always able to turn up a notch. They were always able to hit another gear.
Yeah.
So going into that game, Yeah, everybody kept talking about it's going to be cold, all that other stuff. 100,000 people going to be in the stands. It's going to be crazy to go play and all that other crap, right? So, but that just fed into who we were. We were one of those types of teams to where, man, we almost played better at times in these away games because we wanted to prove to people, who we were. Because we love to be hated. We knew everybody hated us. Mm-hmm. So we're saying, hey, look, man, we're going in front of 100,000 people, and they hate our guts. You know what? Let's go up there and show them what a real Miami Hurricane football team is supposed to look like. No, they jumped out on us. Things didn't go our way early in the game. But again, the one thing Miami was always able to do, especially back then, they were able to reach down and dig deep. And there was always something in us that we knew we had. And it was just a matter of getting it out. Mm-hmm. And we used to always say, you might play with us for 3 quarters. But because of our work ethic, because of the way we practice, you're going to be able to play with us for 4 quarters. I promise you that. And that was when the 4 fingers and all that stuff, that's when that stuff became popular. But that 4th quarter was all ours. It was all ours. Man, them guys went into halftime. Dude was like, man, y'all ready to go win this football game? Came back out in the 3rd quarter and got a couple of things going. Still not quite to where we needed to be. But that 4th quarter, we knew Michigan had not worked as hard as what we did. They did not deserve to win that football game. We was going to go take that game. Matter of fact, and if you look at the tape, yours truly, your boy right here, Hurlie Brown, that onside kick,
yeah,
I had to kick. And when I tipped it, I got hit in the chest. And I tipped it to Bobby Hart. Mm-hmm. And that was the first time Jimmy acknowledged me as a player. And I will never forget that. He was sitting in Rose Mayhew's office, who was actually right outside of his office. He was sitting on the couch one day, him and Coach Campbell. And I walked by. Coach Campbell summoned me into the office. And Coach Johnson was sitting there. And he said, hey, you did a hell of a job. Great play. And Coach, that's all I needed. That's all I needed. I'm like, man, this dude here, this is the reason you come to the University of Miami. And from from that point forward, I was going to continue to work my butt off because I knew that he was pleased with what I was doing. And that's the kind of impact that he had on guys like myself.
Okay, yeah, fullback. Yeah, Cleveland Gary had 9 catches for 160 yards, 2 touchdowns receiving. Carlos Welter hit a 29-yard field goal with 43 seconds left. So that was a big win. Plus, Michigan started 0-2. So,
but Rashad, first of all, a lot of people don't talk about Cleveland Gary.
Yeah.
Cleveland Gary was one of the best running backs to come through the University of Miami.
Yeah, he's very underrated.
Cleveland Gary was a monster. He was a first-round draft choice, first of all.
Yeah, went to
the Los Angeles Rams.
The Rams.
But Cleveland Gary, was a phenomenal back and great guy. You talking about coming out, man, he had these big old hands. You thought, man, this dude could catch a BB in the dark with a blindfold on. He was a bad boy. But he doesn't get enough credit, though, to be honest with you. They don't talk about him as much as they should.
Yeah. Okay, let's fast forward to meetings. Y'all beat them 24-0 in 87, then 58-7 in 85. Talk about that as a true freshman, being involved in that rivalry between Notre Dame and Miami in 1988 on October 15th. Talk about that, the preparation aspect leading up to that game.
Well, that game was a little different for me because my homeboy, Derek Brown, starting tight end for Notre Dame, we went to high school together. We grew up together. I've been around Derek since we were knee-high to a grasshopper. But it was a little bit more emotional for me because Derek was supposed to come to Miami. And he didn't. That sucker went to Notre Dame, broke my heart. I thought he was going to be down there with me. Because Derek used to also go down there with me to watch a couple of games at the University of Miami. And we always thought we were going to go to school together. But that sucker went up there to doggone Notre Dame with the Fighting Irish, man. It broke my heart. But that game was an amazing game. Leading up to the game, it was no different than our preparation for anybody else. We always prepared as if we were not playing against our opponent, but we were playing against ourselves. We never really worked on getting ready for a game and stuff like that. It was a little different with Florida State and stuff, because it's Florida State week. But for the most part, man, our preparation was always going to be, but we going out there to try to kill somebody. It was our practices were way harder than the games, and we understood that. But those older guys, they taught us that. The Darryl Fullingtons, the Benny Blades, the Michael Irvins, the Brian Blades, Tolbert Baines, the Melvin Brattons, Alonzo Highsmith. Those guys used to come back and show us, teach us what it was going to take in order for us to be a successful football program. And we fed off of that. And we wanted them to acknowledge the fact that we were good enough, that we were supposed to be there. That was one of the biggest things at the University of Miami back then. Not only did we want to impress our coaches, but we wanted our big brothers to know, hey, look, we want our big brothers' acknowledgement. It was something special when you're on the sideline and Melvin Bratton coming over there telling you, man, you a hell of a ball player, man, you're doing a hell of a job. Or Darryl Fullington come up and tell you, man, you're doing your thing. Guys like that, you see them out in the clubs, and they were always on the sideline. That's what encouraged us more than anything in the world, was to be able to say, for those guys to come up and say, hey, look, man, you can carry this torch. We got it in the right hands. And that's what we wanted. So, going leading up to that game, it was no different than any other game. We didn't know that they were going to, the Catholic Thursday night is when you started preparing for those games. Thursday night, 9 o'clock meet. Jimmy Johnson comes into the meet. He gives his pre-game speech. And from that point forward, you're not thinking about anything else but focusing on the game. That was your job. 9:30, you go in there, and we used to get these little cakes, little, hostesses, doggone cheeseburger, something like that, just to get you through like a little snack on that Thursday night. But once you got that stack, man, you went to your room. Dude, hey, all bets are off. The outside world does not exist to you. You're done. You get up Friday, you go eat breakfast, you go to class. Now you're focusing in on that game. And when you got on that bus Saturday to go to that game, that's when the tension really started to build. I mean, it carried over. So we're on the bus. We pull up into the stadium. As a matter of fact, when you get on campus, you start seeing the people tailgate. You start seeing people walk around with these T-shirts. Catholics versus convicts, angels versus assholes. Like, oh, no, they're talking about us. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go again. So, we were used to it. It was something different as far as the T-shirts, but the feel and the reception of the entire stadium was still the same. We knew you hated us, but that was cool. That's what we played into. So we were going to come out there and give you everything we got, because we knew you hated us. We wanted to take it away from you. So we go into the stadium, and dude, when we start seeing this, that bus starts to erupt. I mean, dudes are banging on windows. The Harlem, we used to have this little chant, with like we used to do like a siren. Like hey, we coming through. State troopers, you done ran out in front of us, now we coming to get you. And with that, the chant, the sound, the energy, the environment, it was just crazy. And so the game itself was a doggone knockout, drag down fight. It was a fight from beginning to end. They took it from us with that phantom call down on the goal line saying that Cleveland Gary fumbled the ball in the end zone, which was a bogus call. But after the game, and this is one of the things that stuck with me and has been a part of my life as a coach ever since that night, and it just confirmed to me that Jimmy Johnson was one of the best to ever do it. Cleveland Gary had a great game, an amazing game. All right? Cleveland Gary, after that call, we go into the locker room. Cleveland Gary sitting on the bench, helmet on. He hadn't taken off any of his equipment. He's sitting there crying, bawling. I'm like, man, it's just tears rolling down his face. Because of the fumble. He felt that he cost us the game. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching. I'm true freshman, straight out of college, out of high school, 18 years old. Jimmy Johnson goes down, kneels down in front of Cleveland Gary, both knees on the ground, and put both hands on Cleveland's knees and looked him in his face, told him to put his head up, pick your head up. That one play did not cost us the football game. And I sat and I was floored. I'm like, wow. I actually used that exact same phrase, that exact same statement when I was coaching Dillard High School football. And our kid ended up kicking the winning field goal at the end because he had missed a field goal and felt bad that, we were going to lose. But that just showed me, it just confirmed to me who Jimmy Johnson was. He was a player's coach. Now, he got on the rest of the team. And one of the guys lost his position after that game because he had given up some crucial plays. But as far as that night, Jimmy went and told Cleveland Gary he had nothing to be ashamed of. And that's the sign of a great coach. So, but it was a good game. It was a good game.
Yeah, Cleveland Gary had 11 catches for 130 yards receiving. So he had a amazing game. And he scored a touchdown before half to tie the game at 21-21. I think, before the half. All right, so let's fast forward. You lose that game, unfortunately. And that game was amazing because y'all lost 31-30, the 2-point conversion, failed, stuff like that. Did you ever see the Catholics versus Convicts documentary? You ever saw it?
I saw it. I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah, they talk about the Andre Brown catch, that he didn't catch it. And it looked like, obviously he didn't catch it. It was a trap. But at the same time, that Cleveland Gary fumble, like you said, that was not a fumble. That was a phantom fumble. And a bad break, deserves another bad break, in the sense, that was a bad break.
What?
That was a bad break.
Rashad, man, you know what, bro? There was a lot of plays in that game that could have gone either way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But
that was a bad call. And y'all deserve a bad. I had a break too. Y'all deserve a break too.
Man, listen, bro. Like I said, there are a lot of plays in that game. And, we can go back. Now, to me, the most evident, the play, and I get it. I watched the Andre Brown catch and all that other stuff. And hey, man, I'm still not convinced that was a bad call. All right. Okay. So a phantom call, whatever the case may be. But what was more evident, because the referees came back and said it later that season, that they made a bad call. Nobody had ever talked about the Andre Brown catch.
Yeah, that's okay.
They said it. They came back and said it that season, at the end of the season, that they had made a bad call. They thought that it was fourth down. They thought it was a turnover on downs. Is what they came back and said as referees.
Wow.
Now, you know what I'm saying? So that hurts. And mind you, so you're talking about you won that championship in '83. Okay? You won it again, or you played for it in '86 with the interception with Penn State. All right.
Penn State.
So you should have won it in '83, '86. '87, you won it. 88. Bogus call.
Could have won it.
You should have won it.
Won it all.
Yep, you won it in '89. 90, so we throw the season away. We just kind of screwed it up in '90. We hurt ourselves in that. But then you won it again in '91. That's 6 right there.
Yeah.
That's 6.
I could have won
6
a whole
national
lot
championships. Yeah. Oh yeah. So those are the things that hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, whether or not Andre Brown caught the ball or whether or not it was a good call, I mean, he caught the ball, whether or not it was a good call or whatever, that at this point, I could care less. But it still hurts with that Cleveland Gary call. It hurts. It hurts tremendously.
Yeah, because I had won 36 games in a row in the regular season.
Yeah.
I hadn't lost a game since September 7th, 1985 against Florida. And I think I had like a 20-game road winning streak. I hadn't lost on the road in a long time, so that was like a heartbreaking loss. So let's fast forward to Nebraska. Y'all played them. Y'all beat them 23-3. And unfortunately, that was the last game for Jimmy Johnson. Did y'all know that Jimmy Johnson was leaving that year?
No. Nobody ever could have predicted that he was leaving. And I'll tell you what, though, we as players, we love Jimmy so much. We were happy for him because it was an opportunity for him to go prove to the world that he could win on the biggest stage. So when Jimmy came in, and Jimmy, I mean, he had a very emotional speech. He came in, man, and he cried, But what resonated with us more than anything was the fact that you're going to the National Football League. You're going to the Dallas Cowboys. Man, I'm a Cowboy fan. I don't know, hey, you keep that quiet, but I'm a Cowboy fan, from as a little kid, because that was pretty much the only game we got a chance to see. Cowboys versus the Pittsburgh Steelers was my game every year. But we're all looking at him like, man, you got a chance to go to the Dallas Cowboys and coach with your buddy. Your buddy's the owner. You're going to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? Man, please, wipe those tears, man, and go do what you do. We know how great you are. We know it. And what you left us with, we'll carry on with us for the rest of our lives, because you taught us how to be winners. Not just at football. You taught us how to be winners at life. All right? So here you have this great opportunity, and we applaud you for it, buddy. And we can only hope and pray that we carry on your legacy here at the University of Miami the way that you taught us. And that's what we did. So it wasn't like we were mad at it. We were like, no, man, hey, bro, you got a chance, man. Go do it, Jimmy. Go do your thing, coach. We got you. We got you. And that's how we took it. For the most part, that's how I think all of us took it.
Okay, so now 1989 comes around, you're a sophomore. What do you think of Dennis Erickson when he first came to Coral Gables? Dennis Erickson.
Yeah, Dennis was what Miami needed at that particular time. He was a great. We all lobbied for Gary Stevens because we didn't want anything to change. We thought that anybody coming in from the outside was going to change everything. We felt that hey, look, we're on the verge of being one of the greatest dynasties in college football. So why change it? So again, we all lobbied, but I mean, hey, the powers to be had their choice, and Dennis was their choice. Now, we didn't have a problem with Dennis. Yeah, everybody talk all that crazy stuff. Man, he changed this, he did that, and all that. Dennis Erickson revolutionized college football.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. So just go back now. The defense was great. We were good. Coach Luby came in and, hey, look, man, we're gonna let y'all do what y'all do. We're gonna stick with the 4-3 defense because they called it the Miami 4-3 at that time, and we're gonna let y'all play. Bottom line, cool, no big deal. So we're gonna do that. But offensively, man, you come in, you telling me you're gonna put 3 receivers on the field in a one-back offensive system that uses the tight end? Hold on. So just imagine what you just left, because Jimmy's last year, you had Andre Brown, Dale Dawkins, Randall Hill, Wesley Carroll. The year before that, you had arguably one of the greatest receiving corps in the history of college football. Michael Irvin, Brian Blades, Brett Perriman. And then what you had in the backfield, you had Alonzo Highsmith, Leonard Conley, and people don't even talk about Warren Williams. Warren went and played for a long time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Warren was arguably one of the most all-around backs, the best all-around backs at the University of Miami at that particular time. People don't even talk about him. And Cleveland Gary was sitting on the bench. So just imagine.
Don't forget Melvin Bratton.
Yeah, Melvin. How can I forget the Ghost, baby? I had the Ghost. I had his poster on my wall. I still talk to Melvin every day. I was a huge Melvin Bratton fan. Still am.
Yeah.
But so you got Melvin Bratton. Then look at what you had at tight end: Alfredo Roberts and Charles Henry. Rob Trzynski, then ultimately you had my boy, my main man, Randy Bethel. So imagine that offense that Dennis Erickson brought to the University of Miami with that caliber of athlete that just left. You got 3 of the best receivers in college football on the field at the same time. With just take a pick: Alonzo Highsmith or Melvin Bratton, Warren Williams, Leonard Conley, or Cleveland Gary. Just take a pick. Come on, man. You have one of the most potent offenses in college football. It arguably could have been in the history of college football. Because them dudes were phenomenal. Phenomenal. And then Steve Walsh back there.
Yeah.
Just imagine you got that same offense with Vinny Testaverde just left. Come on, man. It would have been illegal. You think they hated us? Please.
All right, so y'all beat Wisconsin 51-3. I want to get to the obviously, unfortunately, I lost to Florida State 24-10. But let's get to the game that really you circled on the calendar and you had to do it was the rematch against Notre Dame on November 25th. This is when I became a Hurricane fan. November 25th, 1989, Thanksgiving week. Y'all beat them 27-10. Talk about obviously you worked on yourselves. You stay the opponent for your preparation, but like the mindset is all about revenge, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, about revenge. Getting back at Notre Dame for what happened the year before. Talk about that at that time.
Well, you know what? I think in the movie Tombstone, they said it best. It wasn't about revenge. It was a reckoning. We had to go out there and show the world who we were. You had just taken something from us, and we needed to show everybody, hey, look, this is Miami Hurricane football. And I think that's what we did. So going into the game, emotions were high, but the preparation was still the same. So you got to figure when you playing teams like Wisconsin back then, the guys that you felt that you were better than, that you could win. The purpose of those games were to go in, especially for the starters. Those guys wanted to go in, put the game away early enough to where they can watch their young brothers go out and perform, and they can get them ready. That was the purpose of those games. So that's how we approach those types of games. Oklahoma State, Long Beach State, Cincinnati, teams like that. But when you're playing against Notre Dame, the preparation was still the same. The intensity was a little bit higher because now those older guys knew, and the younger guys understood and respected it, that, hey, look, I'm not going to play a whole lot in this game as a younger guy, as a backup. These older guys are going to play probably 98 to 99% of the game. And I'm going to be there to do my part. And if my part is to only be a scout team guy that whole week and give you the best look that I can possibly give you, then that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to do. That was my way of making a contribution to the Miami Hurricanes to winning this football game. I wasn't going to sit on the bench and be mad because I wasn't playing. Oh, my big brother's got it. Let's go out there because, again, my time is going to come. My time will come. But I want to make sure that I give them everything that I possibly can to make sure that they're successful come Saturday night. And that's how we approached every game. Now, when we played, oh, my God. And I started in that game. It was intense. It was intense. Mm-hmm. It was a great game. Yeah. The Rocket, he was a hell of a football player. Yeah. Ricky Waters, but we all knew back then, and we all felt that, hey, if you hit Ricky early, he won't run as hard. But if you let him roll, you let him get rolling, man, you in for a long night with Ricky Waters. But that was when you had guys like Bernard Clark, who had, just won the MVP of the Orange Bowl the year before, stepped in for George Maurer Jr., and Tiger was one of our vocal leaders. Steve Walsh he was our quarterback. Steve Walsh had been through an entire season. We had all just lost to Notre Dame. So the Russell Marylands, and our defensive line was phenomenal. Greg Mark, mm-hmm. Shane Curry, those guys are just, phenoms. Willis Pegues, Jimmy Jones. So we were playing behind a group of leaders that understood what it was going to take to win that football game. And they led us in the right direction. I was just extremely fortunate to be in that position at that particular time and be a part of that football team. But, man, I'm telling you, unbelievable game. Unbelievable. And if we, now just go back now, because everything that we had ever talked about as players came to fruition in that game. Because Dennis had just taken the job that year. So, bam. everybody got a little frustrated at the beginning. We had a team meeting. So in that team meeting, we learned that he had changed the offense. So guys stood up, man, he changed all, he did this and that. So